What's up everybody, and welcome to another Walkabout mini golf guide here on Reaper Games. Today, I'm not just going to be showing you how to get under par on Bogey's Bonanza hard, but how to get into the high negative 20s and even hit that negative 30. First we're going to go into practice, and I'm going to show you a lot of the shots that we're going to be doing, how to do them, and show you a lot of other shots, a lot of hole-in-ones that I won't be doing in the under par run that you'll watch, pretty much just because I was playing conservatively. But you do probably want to do those shots, so really I highly recommend watching the practice part. But if you want to go ahead and skip to the under par run, just skip to the time on screen now, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Hole one's a pretty simple hole-in-one. I like to go straight at it, but some people will prefer a bank shot, so we're just going to bank to the left right before that spike. And if you look just left of the spike, if you're gonna like aim at it, you'll see there are two little dots with a small space between them right here. I know it's super hard to see on video, but you'll be able to see it in game. Run over those with the right weight, probably about a 3, and that can put you in the hole as long as your weight's right. Like I said, I like to go straight though, and I just aim at the right side of the eye socket, and that usually gets you the right curve. Again, weight has to be right though, because you're going to go around inside of the head and it actually banks like 2 times. Hole 2 does have a hole-in-one, probably about a 5 on the power level, and we're going to go just over the left side of that spike. This is a consistent shot. It's not consistently going to put you in the hole every single time. You'll usually end up where I was pointing just then, right around it, right next to it. But it will consistently get you by the hole. Just have to get your power right. But if you devote a few minutes to learning this, you'll be able to get it. But I still prefer to just go the safe way. And what I mean by the safe way is to just bank it at the top of that first dark stripe right there into the hole, and it'll drop you right down here. It'll never put you in the hole, but it'll put you right there for a super short putt to the hole. It's a very forgiving bank too. It's not super specific. You can hit a little higher than that dark stripe and it'll still work out. So hole 3 does have a possible hole-in-one shot. It's a consistent shot and it's the shot you're going to want to go for, but it's very rare that it actually is a hole-in-one. But we're going to turn around from the tee box, pop the ball off right there, and drop it over here. And you see it had the weight to go in the hole, line was just a little bit off. Now if you turn around from the tee box, you can see where the wood is seamless to the carpet, and then there's like a triangle piece that's broken off there. We want to hit right where the flat touches the triangle, so kind of half on the flat and half on the triangle. And there's a ton of different ways you can hit this. You can hit it next to the point of the triangle, you can hit it early, a little bit later, but I find this spot to be the most consistent. And the power, I'd say, is probably about a 4.5 or a 5, but if you get that lucky bounce, you can get the hole-in-one. The hole-in-one shot here is very tough and almost never a hole-in-one, which is why I don't get it here. I wasn't going to sit here for an hour and keep hitting this shot till I made it in, but it is able to consistently get you by the hole. You don't really want to go for this shot though unless you really want to devote some time to getting consistent at it, or you just want to have the hole-in-one on every hole. But we're aiming right at that piece of grass right there, or just to the right of it, really anywhere in that area, middle to right, and hitting it probably about a 6. That'll pop it up into the rock and over there to the hole. My preferred shot is to just go off the stone here and bounce over the log. You want to hit the highest point end of the stone right there, just before the very end of it. If you hit the very end of it, you'll actually bounce over the wooden fence there, but it's as simple as that, though it will take a little bit of practice probably to get consistent at hitting that stone. By the way, if you prefer the safest shot of going through the log, you can still get a 2 if you aim right before that spike right there and just send it into the cup. It's going to vary a little bit, but right before that spike should get you in almost every time. So the hole-in-one on hole 5 is consistent, but very, very tough to get the weight just perfect to land into the cup. So we're banking off the wall on the right, and there are a couple of dots we're going to go to the left of. I had grip to putt turned off right here, so I accidentally clipped my ball, so I don't have the replay anymore. So I'm just going to show you where to aim here, and then I'm going to try it again. But there are a couple dots right there, and we're going to go just left of them the way I moved my putter right there. And we're going to go ahead and try to get another one here, and it takes 2 tries, but no, that's not super inconsistent. It's a tough shot. Rim the cup, but you can see that's where we're hitting. For my preferred shot, we're going to send our ball out of bounds just between that piece of wood there and that rock, and make sure to hold your grip trigger, because anytime you send your ball out of bounds, if you hold your grip trigger, it won't disappear and it'll keep it live, at least for a little while. So hold that trigger, and that's a good habit to get into all of the time. Then if you look right there, there's a little chip in that wood. We're just going to bank into that chip, come up here, and sometimes you'll get in the hole. Not often, but sometimes you will. And that's how you can get the easy 3, possible 2. There's almost no reason to even go over hole 6, but since this is a guide, we're going to do it, and this is a hole-in-one, so we're doing it. If you can get your ball up into that 3rd trough right there, it's going to come right on down and into the hole. 19 times out of 20 it's a hole-in-one, but every now and then it will just miss the cup. But if you look at that dark brown piece of wood right there, there's a little splinter, and we're just going to hit that splinter at about 4.5, 5 power. Try to knock it up into that 3rd trough and into the hole for the hole-in-one. Hole 7 has a very consistent hole-in-one. It's just a little touchy with the power, but if you can devote a little bit of time to it, 5 minutes, you should be able to get pretty good at this one. So we're just going to hit the rock to our left here, bounce over that rock into the wall, and it'll send us right down to the hole. So if you look just to your left a little bit, you'll see that there's a dot right there, and we're going to go right over that dot. The power here is probably about a 4.5, maybe a little less. Keep in mind your power is going to feel a little bit different from mine because putter strength, mine's at 85%, so if yours is at 100, it's going to feel like this is a 2 when it feels like a 4 to me, you know. But there's also a safe shot for easy 2. If you look at that line right there, where that line gets cut off by the piece of wood is where you want to aim at to hit this wall. And that'll bring you over nice and easy for an easy 2. Hole 8. Though rarely a hole-in-one, this is the hole-in-one line, and I've gotten it a good few times. It's just, you got to get that lucky bounce. But instead of going through the tunnel on our left, we're going to go almost straight ahead, just a bit to the right. And if you're on Quest, you'll see that there's actually a shadow that starts right there where I'm pointing. Although the lighting's a little bit different on PSVR2, so you can't see it. But if you hit that point right there at a pretty hard pace, probably about a 6, that'll send it around, making the gap and coming down onto this side. But we do have a couple other shots, but this is the one I recommend. And the elevator shot. Now, a number of people do go for this. It is a possible hole-in-one. I may have seen someone actually get a hole-in-one one time. I'm not 100% sure. It's not often, but it is a doable shot. And the elevator does not have collision detection, so if you hit the elevator, it's not going to stop your ball. But there is a flat piece of wood right there, and we're going to go just over the one next to it, right over the corner. And once you get your weight right and your bounce right, you'll end up over there, but most of the time you actually end up on the left side. For our last shot, we're going to aim just right of this small square black rock. And I've never seen this one go in the hole, but it is a shot you can go for that'll get you down there. And some people do have trouble going the roundabout way, so they might prefer this. Hole 9 actually has one of my favorite hole-in-one shots in the game. So we're going to hit that rock, pop up, hit the giant gold nugget, make a Zorro symbol, and go into the cup. Now if you look at the rock, you'll see one giant tall triangle right there. And when you want to hit right into that triangle and clear this cliff, you don't want to hit that cliff. Now this is a risky shot. You do have a probably 50-50 chance of bouncing out, but you can get the hole-in-one, and it's a really fun one to get. The shot I'll usually go for though is to go to our left, right over the middle of that brick, bounce over the pickaxe and into that trough right there. You don't usually get that bounce. You can actually go straight between the nuggets and get pretty close to the hole, but sometimes that's what you get. This is probably only about a 2.5 on the power level. There are a couple other ways to go about this hole too. Here's the way most people do this hole. It's basically the shot I just did. Is you hit the side of that rock at probably about a 4 or 5 on the power level, and that'll put it in the same trough. And like I said, you can get the same lie as this, just bouncing over the pickaxe, which is what I prefer. I think it's a little bit safer, but a lot of people go off of this rock, whichever one works for you. Our last one, aside from the hole-in-one, is your best result shot. Going up this little ramp, hitting that wall, hitting this wall, and then going down the trough. Now this is a tough shot because your power has to be absolutely perfect. And if it's off at all, it's not going to go down that trough. It's going to stop right before it. And of course your line has to be on point too, because that's a pretty small ramp. But if you can make this one, it's a good one to go for. Always leaves you with a really short putt. Hole 10, they want us to go all the way across this bridge with the stones and all the gaps, and this is a very consistent hole-in-one, and also just going to be the line you want to take anyway. So if you look here, there's a few wood planks and then a space and another wood plank. Now this shot's line can be tricky, so if you look, we're actually hitting right before the wood plank after the gap. But from the tee box, our perspective shows our line hitting right in the middle of that wooden board. So you're hitting before it, but you're aiming at the middle of that board because of your perspective. I mean, yours could be a little bit different still because you're probably putting sideways like a normal person. I'm putting overhanded, but that's how it goes. This hole can be really annoying if you don't get the hole-in-one because it's only a par 2, but there are 2 dots right in front of us. We're going to run right over this left dot and bounce it over the left side, into the wall, and into the cup. This is a super consistent shot. There are 2 different ones actually. There's the 1 bounce and there's 2 bounces. This is the 1 bounce, but if you want to do 2 bounces, just hit it a little softer. I'd recommend just coming here, practicing, finding out which one feels more natural to you and going with that one. But there's the 2 bounce. So hole 12 wants us to go all the way down this hill, hit the shortcut and go through there, go into this cup with a second putt. If you're lucky, go into this one off the second putt, but possibly have to do a third one into the cup, drop down there again and go for the 4 or 5. We're going to go for the hole-in-one right off the back here. Not going to get the hole-in-one here, but I wasn't about to sit here and do this 30 times till I got the hole-in-one, which is probably about a 1 in 30, but it will get you down there. And there goes my grip to putt, knocking my ball off, but hey, here's the opportunity to show that this shot actually is consistent, at least getting you down there. The only reason this one didn't go to the hole is because I hit it just a tiny bit short. But if you look down right here, you'll see 2 little dots and kind of a smudged line of dots right next to it. We're going to go on the right side, right on those smudged line of dots at a medium pace, about a 3, 3.5, and you really want to take the time to get good at this shot, which it won't take long. Once you get the power down, I mean 5-10 minutes max, you'll be able to get this shot like first try every time, and it is super helpful in getting a really good score. Hole 13 has a hole-in-one that you can get good at, but it's pretty risky and tough to get pretty good at this one. But what we're going to do is go to our left and just get super close to this post, almost graze it, and hit the wall and come back into the cup. And also, if you look down though, right here behind the post, you'll see some splits in the wood. And if you go just left on this point of this one right here, that's the same line to put you right next to the post there and take you to the hole. Power's tough to get right, probably about a 5. But like I said, it's risky. You often roll off the end if you miss the cup. Of course, we do have a safer shot, and this one we're just gonna hit it off into that plant right there and bounce it off the wood and over to the hole. This one is not super risky like the first one. In fact, this is the shot you're gonna want to go for every single time probably, unless you're going for the hole in one. Pretty simple. This one's also about a 4.5, maybe a 5, and let's just pop it over. Hole 14 is a relatively safe hole-in-one shot. In fact, this is actually no look to this hole-in-one. We're pretty much going to go straight back just left of where the wood, where the spike is, starts, and just pop it over and back into the hole. And there's tons of ways to get a bounce that puts you in the hole, so there's a lot of ways to get away with this shot. Power is probably about a 4.5, but we're going to go over the safer way too. Also, there's not a whole lot of reason to go for this safe shot. You can get the hole-in-one pretty often, and it's not that risky once you've tried it a couple times. But if you thread the needle between those two shells there, or chambers, you can hit that piece of metal and bounce over for a line of the cup. I've heard of a hole-in-one here on 15, but I've never seen it before, or someone even trying for it, I don't think. So our objective is to just get through that mouse hole there and give us a 2. Now if you look in front of you and just a little bit to the left down, I know these are hard to see on video, but there are 2 dots right here, and we're going to go just to the right of these dots, right beside him. You don't have to use these to aim, but that's what helps me to aim. But my best tip for this hole is the number one mistake people make with this one is they don't hit it hard enough to get the bounce with enough spin to put them through the mouse hole. So just make sure you hit it hard enough, and that's going to be the best thing that helps you. So hole 16 has a tricky hole-in-one, but we're going to go through the safe and bounce off of the gold ingot into the cup. This power level is probably about a 3.5. This one's pretty hard to gauge. But if you look right there where that piece of metal starts to break off from the bird's neck, we're going to go just left of that metal. We're trying to roll under it, but we're going to go left of it because when we hit the ramp, it's going to bounce us a little bit over to the right. And that can put you in the cup. Tough shot though. If you just want to get the safe 2 though, you just want to hit it over here to the left and set up, then just put it into the cup from there. Hole 17, like hole-in-one, we're not going to go over the straight shot because that's obvious, but some people will prefer a bank. So if you can bank just about 1 inch after the wood starts there with the right weight, you can get the hole-in-one every time. Weight is tricky though, probably about a 5 or so. Extra tip though, if you hit short and you come back, if you're lucky enough to end up on the left side in the general area where I am, you can just hit behind the cowboy and bank it over into the cup. It's a tough line though, and you got to get lucky enough to be in the right spot to make the bank, of course. So the hole-in-one for 18 will take some practice, but it is worth practicing and getting good at. We're going to try to land on the middle to back of this hill here and bounce it up over to the cup. Didn't get the hole-in-one here because I didn't feel like hitting this thing 20-30 times till I got it, but I have gotten it a few times before. This is a tough shot, like I said, but you can get it. The number one mistake with this one is also hitting it too soft, just like hole 15. So hit it a little harder if you're missing it, and that'll get you the bounce off of the hill, off of the rock, and up to the cup. But that's everything for the practice. Let's go ahead and get into the under par run. So here we are on the under par run, and I just got to say one more time that I highly recommend going and watching the practice part of this video. I know it seems long, but you're going to learn so much and see a lot of shots that I don't do in this run because I was playing kind of conservatively, but they're super worth doing, super consistent, Yeah, I could not believe that I missed that shot just there. You want to just bank at the top of that second dark stripe, and that'll put you up into the cup every time, but I just hit mine a little bit too hard and rimmed the cup, came back out. So for this one, we're going to hit right where the flat meets the open space of that triangle shape there, at about a 4.5 or so. That'll pop you over. If you can get the angle right when you go into that pointed area there, that'll bring you back into the cup, but it's tough to do. So on hole 4 here, we're going to try to end up on the end of this rock by that tip and pop it over. That one's a tough one to get the power right on. Might take a little bit of practice. Here we're going to go out of bounds actually, and anytime you go out of bounds like this, you need to hold your grip trigger. If you don't hold your trigger, your ball is going to disappear as soon as it gets out of bounds, but if you hold it, it'll keep it alive for a little while. For this one, if you get it in the third trough, it'll be a hole-in-one almost every time. Very rare that it doesn't, but you'll usually get it. So every hole we've gone through so far actually does have a hole-in-one shot that I've gone over in the practice run, including the hole we're doing right now, but played this one conservative as well, even though the hole-in-one here is actually not very risky and pretty consistent. But I like to hit the end of that line that you can see sticking up out of the wood back there from the tee box. Yeah, that one I just hit it a little bit too hard. But you're going to want to hit right after the dark and light wood piece connect on the right side there. So for this one, we're just going to hit it at about a 3 right over the middle of that rock and bounce over the pickaxe to give us a nice line to the cup. That one's probably only about a 2.5 on the power. And so for this one, we're aiming right before that big piece of wood starts after the gap there. And now, because of perspective, it looks like you're actually aiming at the middle of that wooden plank, but you're actually aiming before it, and that's where you're going to hit. So keep that in mind. Here we're going to go right over that left dot and try to bounce it into the back and come over to the cup. But I went a little too far to the left. This hole can be a pain too because it's only a par 2, so if you miss your first shot, unless you get a nice line to get into the cup on your second one, odds are you're going to come out of here losing a stroke. So this trick shot seems inconsistent, but it is super consistent. You can see I was shaking my head there because I knew I messed that up right away. The first 2 shots I do here were just bad shots. They had nothing to do with the consistency of this one. They were just bad shots. I messed up. But we're going to get it on this third one here. Not perfect. Not in the hole. But we were headed there. If you can get good at this shot, the shot on hole 3, and our shot on hole 18, pull albatross or hole-in-one on all of them, you can consistently get mid -20s on this course almost easily. For that shot, we're just trying to land in that patch of grass or dead plant that's over there, and that'll bounce us over to the wood right there and give us a nice line to the cup. Here, we're going backwards off the tee, right next to the spike, hitting the metal, and usually it'll put you in the hole. That was probably about a 4 on the power. Here, I was a little disappointed with this because I just hit it a little bit too soft, and I know that that's the #1 thing not to do. So best tip for you on this hole is don't hit it too soft. That's the #1 mistake people make. But you're trying to get in that mouse hole. So for this one, we're not going to go for the hole-in-one because I haven't practiced it. Even though I think I could be pretty consistent at it. Just needs a little bit of practice with it. So we're just going to do the setup and take the 2 here. Like I said, we're playing pretty conservatively in this run. Go ahead and hit it into his heart for the kill shot. Take the hole in one here. It's close, almost didn't get it, but we got it. And now for the 18. This is going to seem like a really hard trick shot. It's going to seem like you're never going to get it, but trust me, you can. Just a little bit of practice. Again, number one mistake with this hole, hitting it too soft. You remember to add a little more power. If you're missing, you're probably hitting it too soft, but you want to land right on the fat dark stripe on the top of the hill, the light dark stripe right next to it. Anywhere in that general area is fine, and you want to land either on top of the hill or on the back of the hill. That way you get forward momentum to send you into that rock and not straight up into the air or backwards. But we pulled a negative 25 on that run. It's not too bad, and like the hole where you saw we went through the mouse hole, if I'd have made that first shot, we'd have saved 2-3 strokes right there. And there were a couple other ones, so you can get negative 30 pretty consistently on this course. But anyway, I hope this helped you out. Hopefully you can pull those negative mid-20s now, and I'll see you in the next one.